Last night, the Bulldogs pulled off their biggest upset of the NRL season thus far, beating the Penrith Panthers 32-16 and ruining Nathan Cleary's 200th game milestone. And what a performance it was. Obviously, the Bulldogs aren't premiership favourites just yet. Or are they? But what they did do is outplay a team that many were calling unbeatable, that many were saying will be the invincibles of the NRL. But the Bulldogs just put that narrative to bed. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how it happened. Stay tuned to the end. I'm going to give you the numbers behind the Bulldogs' performance that led to the victory, including what the key formula and change were for the Bulldogs that developed this wonderful performance that resulted in this huge upset. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. We do entertaining analysis backed up by data. So if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of round 6. But that's enough from me. Let's get back to the video. So let's start with a bit of an overview of how the game played out. The Bulldogs started fast and hard. So let's go play by play of how this match played out. Very early on, the Bulldogs set the tone for how they were going to play, but crucially how they were going to attack the Panthers' vulnerabilities. Preston went through early with a bit of a tackle bust, and in the very next play, Tawala makes a line break. This set the rhythm quite early on. The Bulldogs were going to attack the Panthers' left edge, and Talagi had a very difficult game against Jacob Preston. After that line break, the Bulldogs do a nice swing of play towards the left-hand side. Viliami kick out, scores. Matt Burton giving the ball to kick out, and the big Fijian goes over. Something massive happens in the game. Casey McLean gets sent to the sin bin for a high tackle. When that sin bin happens, the Bulldogs take full advantage with Jacob Kiraz going over on the left-hand side, getting the better of his man To'o. Then a few six agains, more possession towards the Bulldogs. Sam Hughes couldn't believe his luck, gets between Isaiah Yeo and Dylan Edwards and gets the Bulldogs ahead 16-0. Matt Burton converts from right in front. But then the game swings. Casey McLean returns, and then we see momentum shift because the referee just cannot keep the whistle out of his mouth. Thomas Jenkins continues his try-scoring feats, going over to get the Panthers on the scoreboard for the first time in the game. Nathan Cleary converts. Then we have a very controversial captain's challenge. So the Panthers now camped into the Bulldogs 20. Dylan Edwards scores off a scrum. A bit of poor defense from the Bulldogs. The Panthers are now mounting a comeback. They get out to 16-12. Bulldogs go in at halftime. Then we get to the second half, and the Bulldogs had a nightmare start. Satili Tupanua drops the ball. Nathan Cleary gets the ball on the last tackle, kicks it over to Thomas Jenkins, who leaps high to the skies and puts it down. Scores his double, and the Panthers tie things up at 16-all. Nathan Cleary fails to convert. Ball hits the post, and that makes you wonder, were the football gods working against the Panthers on this Thursday night in Olympic Park? Then the game turns into a bit of a wrestle. The Bulldogs have a moment. Lachlan Galvin, short ball to Jacob Preston. Preston goes through. Preston scores. The Bulldogs break ahead once again and take the lead. And this was the last time that the Panthers were going to hold an even score with the Bulldogs. Then we go into a bit of a drop ballathon. Harry Hayes, Bailey Hayward, Isaiah Yeo. No one wants to hold the ball. They're treating it like a ball of soap. Then Jacob Preston makes one more line break because he's not done tearing the Panthers apart. And then he gives a nice ball to Satili Tupanua. Tupanua scores, coffins for the Panthers. The upset goes into the history books. The Bulldogs avoid 3 straight losses for the first time since 2023. They say, nah, we're not having it. We're going to put our foot down, and we're going to put the Panther down in Nathan Cleary's 200th game. The Bulldogs go on to win the match. So if you're wondering what was the key difference for the Bulldogs, outside of winning, of course, there were key variations to their attack that I really want to highlight, and I want to give a lot of credit here to Cameron Ciraldo, Lachlan Galvin, Matt Burton, and a few others. Let me explain. There's been a lot of criticism around the Bulldogs' setup of attack. So if you watch the Bulldogs in the opening rounds, Jamin Salmon has played first receiver a lot, particularly when the Bulldogs are trying to shift the ball from left to right or right to left. Jamin Salmon seems to be the middle playmaker, if you like, and that key role between getting the ball from either side. He also seems to play a lot of first receiver, Jamin Salmon, in terms of receiving the ball and then having the option of a straight line runner or a playmaker out the back, being normally Matt Burton on the left or Lachlan Galvin on the right. And that has caused the Bulldogs' attack to be quite deep. Whereas in this game, the Bulldogs' attack was more flat. If you look at Viliami Kikau's try, Salmon did receive the ball, but it wasn't through a decoy. It was through a flat line running. Salmon receives, he gives it to Matt Burton, who's the next player in line, who gives it to Viliami Kikau. The key here, without the decoy runs, the Bulldogs were more flat. Because they were more flat, they were able to give their star players early ball to get in one-on-one situation, and that's what led to Viliami Kikau's try. Then on the right-hand side, Lachlan Galvin was giving a short ball to Jacob Preston, but it wasn't in the repetitive way that we have seen in previous weeks. In Lachlan Galvin's case, on the right-hand side, he was fantastic. Lachlan Galvin had his selection choice spot on tonight. He was reacting to the defense rather than going to the line with too many thoughts in his head. When Lachlan Galvin doesn't overthink, he's a really brilliant player. You want Lachlan Galvin to play on his instincts because instinctively, he's really good. He's a good ball runner when he can see that there's defense backing up against him, and he's really good when he plays what's in front of him. This is just part and parcel of being a young playmaker, trying to learn how to be a halfback, 2, learning to take your options, and 3, trying not to follow a script but play the football that is unfolding in front of you. But he nailed that today. It wasn't a perfect performance from Lachlan Galvin. I think there are a few times where going up the back would have been the better option, but that's okay. All things considered, it was a really strong performance. So that was a key change for the Bulldogs. The other one here, every single player, bar 2, made over 100 metres. That's right. And the only 2 players who didn't make 100 metres were Sam Hughes, who had 88 metres, and Bailey Hayward, who had 16 metres. The Bulldogs were dominant in getting over the advantage line compared to other games. Now, on average, the Bulldogs, there has not been a game this season where the Bulldogs have been outrun by anyone. In terms of meters being made, the Bulldogs have actually done that quite well this season. So the key difference here is the back line made more meters in this game than they have in previous games, and I'm going to single out one particular player, and that's Bronson Xerri. Bronson Xerri ran for over 100 metres, but crucially he got quick play of the balls. Bronson Xerri really added a lot of leg speed into the Bulldogs' attack, particularly coming out from their own end. He could not have done more, Bronson Xerri, to silence the doubters and to prove to his coach that he's ready to put his best foot forward for the rest of the season. But crucially, he played in his favourable position on the left-hand side that allowed him to play his best and most natural game, and the Bulldogs benefited from it. With Jacob Kiraz scoring, with Bronson Xerri's dominant running, which allowed the Bulldogs forwards to get a little bit of reprieve, especially when they needed it in those tug-of-war moments throughout the game. Alright, I know everyone's been waiting for this. Let's give a lot of praise here to Lachlan Galvin. I'm going to run through his numbers, and this is clearly a huge difference to what we've seen in previous rounds. Lachlan Galvin finishes the game with 1 try assist, 3 line break assists. Well done, Lachlan Galvin. His combination with Jacob Preston on that right-hand edge was key to the Bulldogs performing really well. Lachlan Galvin's still learning. I'll admit I've perhaps gone a little bit too hard at Lachlan Galvin at time, but it's not because I'm singling out Lachlan Galvin. It's more to do with the frustration of him being a number 7. While this is a huge result for the Bulldogs, I'm going to stop short of calling it convincing. The Penrith Panthers could not have been worse. Just last week, the Bulldogs completed at a 61% completion rate against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I attributed the loss to a lot of those errors. The Penrith Panthers, 65% completion rate. I said last week, if completion rate is in the 60s, you will not win rugby league games. Penrith Panthers had 16 errors in this game. Woeful. They were never going to win any rugby league game when they're making that level of errors. The Penrith Panthers were playing far too side to side. They didn't respect the Bulldogs. They didn't go through the middle. The Bulldogs, on the other hand, were playing like the Penrith Panthers. It's like these two teams reverse script. The Bulldogs wanted to go through the middle. They didn't look to go side to side. They looked to go through the Panthers, get the momentum going before giving early ball out to the edges. For the Panthers, I actually think this is the loss that they almost needed. People are starting to talk about whether they could go undefeated for this season, myself included, and this loss allows them to just get their heads back on. Don't worry about the noise and just focus on what they do well. They will absolutely be a premiership force. So what is success for the Bulldogs in 2026? The Bulldogs just defeated the Penrith Panthers, who many would say are the premiership favourites. A top 4 finish? Is it a top 8 finish? Is it making the grand final? Or is it winning the elusive premiership since 2004? Within those walls, I think the Bulldogs are going to want to make the top 4. I think today's performance is going to be a catalyst for them to say, let's push on. We just beat the most dominant team so far in 2026. Outside of looking in, the Bulldogs attack is still a little bit clunky. There's still Leo Thompson to return for this side, which is going to add much needed size up front, and I think there is still some improvement left in the attack. In saying that, you have to celebrate this win. It's a huge result for the Bulldogs. Well done Cameron Ciraldo, well done Lachlan Galvin, well done Jacob Preston. Man of the match here has to be Jacob Preston. Man of the match has to be Jacob Preston. Ran for over 114 metres, 27 post-contact meters, 3 line breaks, 1 try assist, unbelievable performance from Jacob Preston. This man is New South Wales State of Origin bound. Mark my words. There you have it. There's my review. I spoke to a bunch of fans after the game, including a Panthers fan and a few Bulldogs fans, to get their reaction after the Bulldogs' huge upset victory against the Penrith Panthers. If you want to watch those videos, make sure you watch that and look out for me at your next NRL game, where I'll be looking to have conversations with the fans and push your opinion over the try line. If you've enjoyed the review, leave your comments in below who your star performer was, what you made of the Bulldogs performance, what is success for the Bulldogs in 2026, and are you worried if you're a Panthers fan, or is it simply a blip in the road? Enjoy your rugby league and get out of here.